Today we're going to listen in into a presentation by our senior cohort, and they will be showcasing an application they built over the course of 3 weeks that is called Glocal News. It's part of our newsroom challenge, and I will leave the floor to Felix. Felix, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So this is a project, as you said, that we've done for 3 weeks. We're going to present a bit about what it is, the whole sort of project idea behind it, what we have done. So to give a short retro on these 3 weeks, what we did over the course of all of them, and also a bit about how we have worked from a development perspective. And then finally, we're going to do a demo of the application as it is after 3 weeks. So Glocal News, news for everyone by anyone from everywhere. What is this? What is this strange idea that we came up with? Well, basically, it's a digital newspaper gathering local news from anyone, from anywhere, ensuring quality by authors reviewing other authors. So we had this idea that there's a bunch of fun and interesting, nice stuff happening all over the world, from small places to big places, and we want them to enable this great content to be displayed on a web application, and that is our site. So the idea is that anyone who wants to write a local story enters glocalnews.com from all over the world. But in order to ensure that this is still qualitative content that gets published on our site, we want each article to be able to be reviewed by other published local news writers, hence authors reviewing other authors. As of now, this is done through a fairly simple peer review system that Stefan will talk a bit about later. But basically, but this of course has potential to be developed further as we go along. But it's basically if you have a high average score from a high enough number of reviewers, then you get published on the site. So this is the idea. From a business perspective, we felt we wanted 2 sources of revenues, and we were a bit, exaggerated that, of course, with this great peer review system, we're going to ensure that it's only great qualitative content displayed on our site. So we felt then we can charge for it. We can make a paywall, monthly subscription from all users, including if you want to write an actual article, you need to pay a monthly fee. But we also, in order to secure revenue, felt like it's good to have banner advertising on this site as well, especially if you just come in and visit and see what it's about. Then, in order to create incentive for the journalists to start writing and publish content on this, you will be paid by a revenue sharing model that will be based on number of clicks as a starting point, but later on it could be of course updated via some kind of algorithm that takes reading time into account and engagement, etc. So that's the idea about Glocal News and the business logic behind it. Now, Stefan, please talk a bit about this great peer review system.
Yes, this great peer review system ensures us to improve the quality of the published articles. And we have some criteria for this. User must be registered to be able to write these articles. And every article must be reviewed by 3 reviewers. Each review can point from 1 to 10. And then in order to become published, the average of all these 3 reviews needs to be 6 or above. After user has gotten 1 article published, he or she can review articles by themselves. But before that, before they can publish another article, she or he needs to review at least 1 article. So that's where we are, and we also have some future plans. As the site grows, you can somehow tune this criteria to scale up. Yep.
Yes, and then a bit about our project recap. What have we done these 3 weeks, which we thought could be interesting for everyone to say sort of how do we actually work, how this project goes about. And Stefan, you kick off the first week. Are you muted?
I muted myself. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, the first week. We went through the project idea, decided the minimal valuable product. That is a scaled down version of the app with sufficient features to satisfy early adapters. We also drew up the user journey, kind of flow chart to see how the user might interact with the components we plan to build on the site. We also did the technical setup. We used GitHub as a version control hub where all can collaborate together. We also did the application setup, both the backend and frontend. The backend with the Ruby on Rails, and frontend with React framework, a JavaScript framework. Also important, we set up the test environment to test all the time to test our functionality. And in the backend, we did that with RSpec, and in the frontend with a test framework called Cypress.
Yes, great. And then Sanne will talk a bit more about these new frameworks and what they actually are. But first, George, week 2 and 3.
Good morning from me too. So the week 2 and week 3, every week started with the same routine. Actually, we did a similar presentation in a simulation mode, which is what happens in a work environment. You have a client that is paying you to do something, and every week you do something called sprint review, where you present what you have done the week before, what were the difficulties, and what was the target, and if you reached it, how you reached it, and if you didn't, why you didn't reach it. So the first day, Monday or Tuesday of week 2 and week 3, we started with that presentation, and then we were on a hangout all together, deciding what more functionality based on our pool of functionality we wanted to have, what more functionality we will add to the application. We voted on that. We call them user stories. Every feature, every functionality is a separate user story. We voted on that depending on how many time it will take to be completed. And then we started pair programming, which for the new students that are listening is one of the more dynamic things that we will experience here in Craft Academy. We started pair programming, implementing these features.
We worked with React for frontend. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It is developed by Facebook, and it is really great. We built the backend using Rails, which is framework for Ruby, which you guys probably have been exposed to before. And Ruby can be used for both front-end and backend, but at this project, we only used it for the backend for building our API. And then we used Cypress to test our features in React in order to make sure that everything works as we want it to work, that user can do all the things that we user can see and use all the features that we want the application to have. And then we use the RSpec to test the backend, the unit tests, and the request specs, which is testing the API as we were storing all the articles at the backend as an API and retrieving them in order to display at the page. Now, in order to not spoil any experience for you guys, I'm not gonna run the tests before we demo the app, but if you are interested enough, we can run them later and see how it all works, because, you know, we've worked a lot on the tests and we're pretty proud about it. But now I think I'll leave it over to, is it Carla?
So this is our application. And here you can view the articles. And here you have the latest news, which is sorted by dates. And here we have the banners for the advertising as well. And here you can view the articles. But as soon as I want to press one, here we have a nice one. And when you press it, you will be directed that you have to log in. And that is for every article you press on, really. So I'm going to start off with logging in here. And then I press log in, and I get you have successfully logged in. And then I can go back to whatever article I want to press on. And then I can view the full article. And then I can see who it's written by. I can see what category it's under. and which country and city. So for example, this is under technology. So if I press it here, it should show up, which it does here. And yeah, so I'm gonna display for you guys. I'm gonna write an article and then I'm gonna review that same one. And we want to restrict this, so obviously I can't review my own article because that is kind of pointless, but I will review it like this. I'm gonna write an article here. So Rihanna in Stockholm, and then I have prepared some lorem ipsum over here. So I'm gonna copy this in, give some text. And I'm going to delete a bit here. And if you wonder why, it's because we have made a restriction that you can't write a really long ingress and you can't write the short body either, because there needs to be some kind of content here. So I'm going to do this, and then it's written by me. And I'm going to choose an image here. And I think this one is Rihanna. So I'm going to select the category, and this is arts, let's say. And I'm going to select the country, and here I can write. So I'm choosing Sweden here, and I'm going to write Stockholm like this. So I'm going to create article. And here I get the preview of the full article. I see the same thing here as I showed on the other one. So now I press, this is not visible here on the landing page because it hasn't got any reviews. So we will review that article. It's this one. So I'm going to go in here. And as Stefan talked about, we set an average score of 6. So I'm going to give this article a bit more, so we are sure that it's actually published and is shown on the landing page. And as he said as well, it needs to be 3 of them. So I'm going to do this 3 times, hopefully pretty quickly, like that. And then last time. Awesome. Send. Okay, so if you go to review articles, you can't view it here anymore. But if I go to news here, it should be displayed right here, which it does. And I put it under arts as well, so you can view it here. So yeah, and then we have the colors for the different categories, as you can see here as well. And that is basically what we have come up with. And then here as well, you can select the country. So as you see here, we have some United Kingdom, but what if we do here that we only want to display what has been published from Sweden? And then you see it's filtered here on the page. Yeah.
Great. That's basically what we had for this 3-week project that we kicked off and finished yesterday.
Now, this was the presentation of the Newsroom Challenge by the outgoing cohort of Craft Academy Bootcamp. Should you want to get in touch with any of these guys, just feel free to reach out to us and we hook you up with their contact details. And please do visit their application, click around and get a sense of the app they've built as part of their journey with us. Thank you.